Alright, welcome back to Formula Performance. This is Zach. We got the ZJ97, formerly Performance Inspired, named Black Betty. She was a $1,500 truck. I think the last time we were talking about it, we did some rear end work. We did the upper and lower control arms in the rear. We weren't able to swap out the passenger side rear. The way the exhaust was installed, the bolt was in the way, and we just weren't able to get it out. Exhaust is on the list, so when it gets out, we'll swap out that control arm at that point. But since I bought the truck, I did notice that when I first start driving it and when it's cold, the transmission sort of slips and holds second gear. Nothing dramatic, except it just doesn't get any power and doesn't get out of its own way. So I got to come off the gas, let it kind of catch up, and then eventually it'll go. Within 5 or 10 minutes it warms up and drives fine. But one of the things we're going to try to do to see if we can improve it is just a drain and not a flush, but just a drain of the pan, the transmission pan. We're going to change the filter and install a new gasket. We're also going to use a Lucas additive. Now, typically when you drop the pan on this transmission and replace it with the filter, you go through about 4 quarts of transmission fluid. So I got a gallon of generic high mileage automatic transmission fluid, and instead what we're going to start off with is adding in the Lucas product, which is 24 fluid ounces, 1 quart, and then we'll finish topping up. I think we're going to put in 2 quarts to start the engine, work through the gears, and then shut it off, check the level when it's running, and then continue to fill it to capacity. Obviously we're going to do a little bit of research and just make sure we have that process down properly before we go ahead and blow a transmission by trying to fix it. So I'm going to get changed. We're going to jack it up so we can get underneath a little bit easier. We may also, while we have it up, just do a quick oil change. We'll decide once we get it up and see how it looks underneath. See you in a few.
Okay guys, we got the pan off, and as you can tell, we've cleaned the pan out already. The pan had some residual debris at the bottom, and sometimes you'll get some fine metal. Alright, looking under the Jeep, you can see that the pan is off, and so is the filter. What we like to do here is take some brake clean and just spray everything down. This will remove any kind of residual sort of metal particles or any kind of debris that's left on some of the surfaces of the transmission. In our opinion, it's a good practice to get this as clean as you possibly can. Looking under the Jeep, the transmission filter gets torqued down to 24 inch-pounds. The transmission pan gets torqued down to 12 foot-pounds. When you torque down the transmission pan, try to do it in a cross pattern.
We got the filter, pan, and gasket reinstalled in the transmission. We didn't install any fluid yet, but when I was under the truck, we decided that we're here, might as well have it jacked up, might as well do an oil change. Part of why I prefer this ZJ to a traditional Wrangler is just some of the more creature comforts. I drive a lot on the road as opposed to off-road, so I wanted something that was going to be a little bit more creature comfort, air conditioning, ABS, a little bit more stable road. This one actually comes with a carpet as opposed to the Joker, which was bare metal, which was great, but in the end this is going to be, I think, a better road Jeep for us. So we're going to use this Rotella heavy duty diesel engine oil. It's 1540, a little bit more than it calls for, but with an engine with 90,000 miles, calls for 6 quarts of oil. So we're going to use 1 quart of this Lucas stabilizer and 5 quarts of the oil. Looking to keep this engine running. Some people get a little bit lazy on the oil changes, but it's something that little bit of preventative maintenance you know, I'm not going to go to a shop and ask them to do an oil change, but for 30 bucks, you can get your oil change done yourself and know what's going on. The Jeep back down on the ground, all the fluids are topped off, oil and transmission fluid. Had to go through the gears of the transmission, leave it in neutral to check the fluid. Took it for a couple of short trips just to make sure we'd get through the gears, and we did actually need up to top almost a full additional quart. So it's looking good now. I'll know in the next couple of days how the Lucas oil additive works into the system, and whether or not the cold shifting issue in the mornings is gone away.
Now, Zach's goals for his Jeep are typical of a Jeep Cherokee of this vintage. The paint is in disrepair, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a farm-style paint on this. Typical...
Whoa, Kevin, before you get crazy about doing the exterior, we need to make sure this Jeep is roadworthy and solid. Like I mentioned, the muffler does need attention. The front end is way out, so we still need to do upper and lower ball joints.
These are all good points.
We did the upper control arms, and we're going to do the lower control arms. My main goal with the Jeep is to make it roadworthy and safe. It was roadworthy when I bought it for 1,500 bucks, but there's a lot of things that we're going to start going. So we're going to put some TLC into the equipment of the truck. I'm going to worry about the appearance after we've gotten the mechanical issues taken care of.
Now, Zach's made some really valid points. Unfortunately for Zach, his girl doesn't like the looks of this particular Grand Cherokee, so she's on his case to get this thing painted as soon as possible. We have to go through all the safety upgrades that Zach is talking about: suspension, the lighting, any kind of other safety issues that may come just from being on the road. It happens. So after all these safety upgrades have been addressed, which should come soon, hopefully in the next video you guys are going to see us do the front end work on this Jeep. So Zach enjoys this Jeep immensely. It's such an upgrade over his Wrangler. Now, Wranglers are great Jeeps. They're great for the beach. They're great for a couple. But when you got a couple of kids and you're doing long distance drives on the regular, not exactly the ideal vehicle for it. Zach, any other kind of upgrades or options you want to do with this particular Jeep?
I'm definitely looking into LED headlights. We did the LED headlights on the Wrangler, and that really allowed it to, see much better at night. The headlights are poor on this. I'd say borderline not safe, really. The high beams are less effective than the low beams. So
basically, the headlights on this Jeep have cataracts. They're in disrepair. We've tried to polish them. It helped, but at this point, he's got to hit eBay, Amazon, Rock Auto, wherever to get a new set of headlights for this Jeep.
I don't want to just replace the bulb. I do want to look at an entire fixture. So if anyone has any suggestions with this type of a Jeep, what kind of LED aftermarket upgrade headlights would work, please definitely hit us up in the comments section. We'd appreciate it. When we find out what we're going to go with, we'll certainly share it with you guys as well. Now, Kevin was talking about the paint job. What are we going to do with that?
The Jeep is going to have to be completely sanded. There are some areas that need to have some minor body work done. Zach is very fortunate that this Jeep has really no exterior rust on it, so rust repair will be minimal. Unfortunately, the paint, the clear coat is basically shot. There's no way to save it at this point. It's going to be repainted. We're going to use a Rust-Oleum type product. It's a farm or tractor paint. We've done it before. We've got great results for it, and we could do a paint job for around $100.
Now, I know one of the things we had talked about was just an initial, this is an eyesore, and spray paint has gotten more expensive, as is everything else, but for, maybe 50 bucks, a couple dozen cans of spray paint, I could spray paint all the bumper, all the plastic around the bottom, the hood. But when I started to look at it, if I do the hood, I really should do the roof. And if I do the roof in the front, I should do the roof in the back. And then if at that point, I should just paint the whole Jeep. So that's when Kevin explained about the Rust-Oleum paint. And for maybe $100 worth of material, and a heck of a lot of effort, we can get this thing hopefully looking very, very good.
Yes, I've done a few paint jobs with Rust-Oleum products, and for the amount of money that you put into that product and the time and the effort, it comes out extremely well. Now, this isn't going to be a show car by any stretch, and it's never going to be a show car, but for Zach, it's a workhorse. He gets his kids in it, he drives the long distance, he drives it on the beach, he has fun with it, goes with the scouts, whatever adventures are next for Zach, this is going to be the perfect vehicle for him.
It's got 190 on it. I'm looking to take it past 300. I got about 12 months to do it, so
I think he'll get there
shouldn't
pretty
be
soon.
a problem. So hopefully going to look a lot better than she does and be a lot safer as well.
Guys, if you really like this video, leave a thumbs up, leave a comment, check out our links in the description. I appreciate it. I know Zach does, because you're going to see more and more of this Jeep on this channel as the weeks and months go by. Any final thoughts there, Zach?
No, if you guys like these ZJs, the WJs, any of the Grand Cherokees, it's a new niche for us to get into, and we're kind of excited to hear what you guys think about it. Thanks again. Again, like, comment, and subscribe.
Thank you.
But I'm like, I don't want to be that Zach, because the Zach with no hair is like a fucking insane lunatic Zach, despite how he may appear on the outside. And I'm just not ready to be, I'm still chill Zach. I don't want to be that Zach yet.
I can't remember the dream exactly what happened last night. I had this interaction with you in this dream, and you had a haircut.
That is fucked up. No,
and I remember thinking to myself in the dream, like, Zach cut his hair.
That's fucked up.
And you
that's
just
a
said,
totally unprovoked story.
Yeah, no, it's harder than you think, huh?
Fuck off, man. It's even better when somebody's not critiquing you on the fly and saying, you know, like your speech impediment that you had to go to fucking preschool for as an adolescent because you had fucking tubes in your ear as an infant and you didn't learn how to speak until you were almost 3.
Okay.
And I now make my living with my voice. We can just take that and go shove it straight up your ass, world. So, take 4.
All right, let's do this.
Like and subscribe, Formula Performance. Let's go merch.
I don't know if this is going to be in the video, but...
Let's not. All right. So, this
is
how you know when to go to the right video. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Those are 10 fingertips.
Okay.
All right.
You ready?
Here we go.